For decades, Helen Mirren has played mothers, queens, wives, and women whose lives revolve around family. But behind those performances lies a very different personal story. At 81, the Oscar-winning actress remains one of Hollywood's most admired figures and one of the clearest examples of a woman who refused to let society dictate what her life should look like. Mirren has never had children of her own, and while that decision has often attracted curiosity, she has been remarkably consistent about one thing: she does not regret it. Her explanation is far less complicated than many people might expect. "I never felt the need for a child." In a 2014 interview with AARP, Mirren spoke candidly about her decision. "I never felt the need for a child and never felt the loss of it," she said, explaining that she had largely placed her work ahead of other possibilities in life. That statement was not the confession of someone looking back with bitterness. If anything, it reflected a sense of peace. Mirren had built a life around acting long before she became one of Britain's most recognizable stars. Her career demanded enormous commitment, and motherhood was simply never something she felt drawn toward. Years earlier, she had been even more direct. In a 1994 interview with The Independent, Mirren said she had made the decision years before and that the idea of having children simply never appealed to her. It was an unusually blunt position for a woman working in an industry that often expected actresses to conform to traditional ideas of femininity. But Mirren was never particularly interested in conforming. She tried to understand the feeling, but it never came. Perhaps the most revealing part of Mirren's story is that she did not simply dismiss motherhood without thinking about it. In a 2011 interview with The Guardian, she explained that she had actually tried to imagine wanting children. "I really tried to want it at one point," she said. "I thought maybe I should, but I never convinced myself." And that distinction matters. Mirren wasn't saying that children were unimportant. She wasn't saying she disliked them. In fact, she made clear that she loved children. What she lacked was the personal desire to become a mother. For Mirren, those were two completely different things. A career that became her life. By the time Mirren reached international fame, acting had already become central to her identity. Her career stretched across stage, television, and film, eventually bringing her an Academy Award for The Queen and countless other major honors. But her dedication to acting came with a price: time. In 2016, while speaking with Peter Travers, Mirren explained that having children was never really part of the equation. She said she was always too engaged in her life as an actress and once struggled to imagine how she could incorporate a child into that life without somehow letting the child down. Interestingly, she described the decision not as one dramatic moment, but as something that unfolded naturally. There was always the possibility of maybe next year. Then eventually, there was no next year. And rather than treating that as a failure, Mirren accepted it as the life she had chosen. Marriage came late, and on her own terms. Mirren's approach to motherhood also fits into a much larger pattern in her personal life. She did not marry young. She married filmmaker Taylor Hackford in 1997 when she was 52 after years together. Hackford already had 2 sons from previous marriages. Mirren therefore became an important part of a family without becoming a biological mother herself, and she embraced that role in her own unconventional way. She has spoken warmly about Hackford's children and about the young people in her extended family. In another interview, she emphasized that although she never had children, she had many children in her life who were deeply important to her. That may be the most important part of her story. Not having children did not mean living without love. "I'm so happy that I didn't have children." Perhaps the strongest statement came during a 2007 interview with 60 Minutes. When asked whether she regretted never having children, Mirren answered emphatically that she did not. She even said she was very happy she had not had children because of the freedom it gave her. For a woman who had spent much of her life being photographed, analyzed, and judged, that freedom clearly mattered. She had the freedom to travel, the freedom to work, the freedom to accept challenging roles, and perhaps most importantly, the freedom to define herself without constantly having to explain why her life did not follow the traditional path. She was never anti-family. It would be easy to misunderstand Mirren's position. She did not reject family. She rejected the assumption that every woman must become a mother to have a complete life. That distinction has remained concise,